Welcome, learners, to this mini lecture corresponding with pages 212 to 215 of Lewis Mumford's Technics and Civilization. This session begins with our examination of the third distinct phase in the development of the machine, which Mumford refers to as the Neotechnic phase. As we see here, three, milestones that Mumford looked at as the beginning of the Neotechnic phase. One was perfection of the water turbine by Benoit Ferneman in 1832. Michael Faraday's discovery of benzene, and Michael Faraday's work in electricity and magnetism. And Mumford points out that although the transition between these phases is hard to pinpoint, 1900 is basically the year given for the beginning of the Neotechnic phase. So, Neotechnic phase was 1900, and remember, Mumford wrote this in 1930s. So, Mumford looked at the Neotechnic phase as still as humans still being in the Neotechnic phase. So, one of the things that you're going to have to determine as you finish out this course is, are we still in the Neotechnic phase? Or at some point in time, did we pass from the Neotechnic phase into some other phase? And you're going to have a chance in the last paper of this course to name that phase and describe it, as you will have already described the Eotechnic, the Paleotechnic, and the Neotechnic phases. So I'm sure you're all looking forward to that and can't wait to get that going. Let's look at some of these important people in electricity that really, I guess these, I think in any field, a lot of times some of the folks who maybe get the most credit, the Thomas Edisons, stand on the shoulders of giants. And so here maybe are some of the giants in electricity. And what I thought was interesting here, I created this graphic organizer to give you the inventor, the invention, and the legacy. Some of these terms, although we might not be real familiar with them, I think we probably have heard some of these terms and realize that they are important measurements and symbols in the study of electricity. So you have Alessandro Volta, and he invented the first battery around 1800. You can see there that his legacy is the volt. Luigi Galvani is bioelectricity, and he lived around the same time as Volta, and in fact, sometimes they were adversaries arguing on what the source of electricity was. But he did some work in bioelectricity. He was working on frogs and trying to prove that the frogs' testicles were located in the legs. And he noticed that when he discovered when he touched the muscles, that the muscles of the dead frog's legs twitched when struck by a spark. So kind of first foray into bioelectricity. And the term galvanism comes from him, although maybe not the term that we think of. Galvanism had to do with bioelectricity at that time. Hans Christian Ørsted was involved in electromagnetism. Also the discovered that electric currents create magnetic fields. So that's what electromagnetism is. And there is a unit called an Ørsted, which is a unit of the magnetizing field. George Simon Ohm, Ohm's law, and the Ohm is a symbol, a unit of electrical resistance, named obviously after Ohm. He was a German physicist and basically determined that there's a direct proportionality between voltage applied across a conductor and the resultant electric current. So that relationship became known as Ohm's law. And then finally, André Marie Ampère, electrodynamics. He was a French mathematician and physicist. A lot of times in practice, name is unit of electrical current is shortened to amp. So he was given credit for that. So, you know, and an ampere, an amp, is a measure of the amount of electrical charge passing a point per unit of time. So some of these terms may not mean a whole lot to us, but I'm sure we've heard volt, amp for sure. And once again, I think it's important that these were people who were making these discoveries during the Paleotechnic phase, rather than, but of course, you know, a lot of their discoveries reach full fruition in the Neotechnic phase. And so, you know, in summary, the Neotechnic phase was a clean break from the Paleotechnic phase. Is different. You know, as we looked at the transition from Eotechnic to Paleotechnic, it was kind of a smooth transition. This is going to be a clean break. Also, remember to complete the activity corresponding with this mini lecture, and make sure to complete the essay corresponding with this mini lecture on the Learning Session 8 assessment. Thank you and have a good day.